Welcome to MyHR training. Today we'll be covering the timesheet and a few other features in the legislature's new HR system. This is an internet-based application that you can access from anywhere as long as you have an internet connection. You can access the system using a tablet and smartphone. It is compatible with any internet browser. To access the application, go to the Senate's intranet site or the OLS intranet site, where links are embedded to take you to the application's sign-in page. Alternatively, if you're working from your home computer or your tablet or smartphone and you're outside of the office, you may type in this address, myhr.leg.state.fl.us, and you will be taken to the sign-in page. To log in, you will use your Active Directory credentials. That's the username and password that you use when you log into your computers when you come into work in the mornings. So use your username that you use on an everyday basis, and that same password that you use to log in. The password, if you established it using upper and lower case letters, be sure to use that in this instance when you log in. Your username should be either all lowercase or all uppercase, no mixed case letters. Then you will come down to the domain and click the drop-down arrow. If you are an appropriations employee, you will click the LAS-PBS domain. Everyone else will select the flsen.gov domain. And then click Login. Now I'm using a demo system, so my screen might look a little differently from yours when you log in, so I'll just preface by saying that. You'll notice at the top, we'll familiarize ourselves a little bit with the dashboard. Your name will show in the upper right hand corner, and if you are an employee without any managerial responsibilities, this will not appear on your screen. This is only if you are a manager. You'll have two different roles. To the left, or excuse me, to the right here is the Help button. When you click on the Help link, it will direct you to see the guide that will reside right here on your dashboard under Important Resources. Your Logout button, a printer icon, and your backward and forward buttons. If we click somewhere else in the system, you'll see that then the back button is activated. Back on our dashboard, let me point out that you should not use your browser back button to navigate in the system. It will kick you out of the application and you'll have to sign back in. So only use these buttons if you want to move backward and forward, or you use your menu buttons at the top of the screen. You have 5 menu tabs at the top of your screen, and they correspond with these blocks of information down your page here. To the right is a message board. This is where the HR office may place a global message that they want to communicate to all employees. Next are your important resources. These are all of the documents and various forms that you might need to access as an employee. And down below, you'll see new employee forms. Nothing shows right now, but if I click the arrow, it will expand and show all of these documents. This will be where new employees will go to complete the information that the HR office requires. You can collapse these to clean up your dashboard if you'd like. Next time you log back in, that will still be closed unless you click on it and open it up again. But to kind of get your dashboard in a clean state, you can collapse any of these items if you'd like. And one more thing I should point out is the Senate policies will be linked right here under important resources, and you can see there are the joint policies. So let's move on to the timesheet. You can either click here on time management or on my timesheet. Before we begin working in the timesheet, let me show you that there are some quick tips that will be linked on the Senate's intranet site to help you each month if you need a reminder or a refresher on how to complete the timesheet. So we're back on the timesheet. This is a timesheet for a salaried employee, and Sally Brown is a full-time employee. So right here you see that this is the June timesheet. Here is a submit button. We'll come back to that in a few minutes. And the first thing we'll touch on is the contracted and comp hours worked section. This is where you're going to enter the number of hours you worked plus any comp hours that you worked. If you are a salaried full-time employee, you will never enter anything less than 8 on this line. We'll show you how to do that by using some of your leave balances in just a minute. Unless, of course, you worked a Saturday or Sunday, then you can enter fewer than 8 hours on those weekend days. But we'll start with a couple of examples. First, though, if you just work 8 hours the entire month, you see here that the timesheet is completely populated. You have a little scroll bar that lets you move over to the end of the month. Same thing, another scroll bar for your leave types. But if you've worked 8 hours every day, you need not do anything else. You would just click the submit button. Your status will change from draft to submitted. So the timesheet has gone to your manager or timesheet approver now. But we'll go ahead and reset this to draft so that we can make some other entries into the timesheet. So click reset to draft. Confirm that that's what you want to do. So to begin with, let's look down here at the state holiday line. You'll notice that you can't enter anything into any of these fields. This will be automatically populated by the HR office. So for one of our first examples, we'll pretend that June 1st is a state holiday. So if it were, you would see an 8 here in this top box, and down below your actual hours worked line would show 0. But sometimes you're required to work on a holiday, so that's what our example will be. We're going to enter 12 hours here, and that's for the 8 hours of the holiday and 4 hours that you came in and worked on that holiday. So 8 plus 4 is 12. When you tab off, you'll notice that you have a save icon here. We'll click save, and now the system shows that I worked 12 hours. Now if this were the holiday that I mentioned previously, this block would have an 8 in it, and this block would have a 4 in it, for a total of 12 hours. You have to account for the 8 hours of the holiday as well as the actual hours that you worked. Okay? But since this is not a holiday, obviously it doesn't show that way on my screen. Let's do another example. Also during session, you might have to go to a doctor's appointment, but you also end up working 10 hours. So you would add the 10 hours of your work plus the 2 hours for your doctor appointment and enter 12. Once you tab, You can save it right now if you want to, or let's just come right down here to the sick leave used line, and I'm going to enter 2 hours for the doctor appointment, and now I'll save. So the system has calculated the 10 hours. Now we'll do another likely example. Let's say it's during the interim and you're not having to work very much comp time. You've just worked your 8 hours, but you actually used a couple of hours of annual leave, let's say 3 hours. You will enter your 3 hours of annual leave and tab. Click the Save button. And the system calculates that you actually worked 5 hours. So once again, you will not put up here 5 hours. You'll leave the 8 for your contracted hours and then enter your leave down here. Let's look at our other leave types that we have available here. You'll notice that you have comp used from balance and comp washed this month. You can grab that line and expand that column to see the entire description. So the comp used from balance is any balance that you've accrued from the previous months. Comp washed this month would be any comp that you earned and used during this month. So we have an example here where I've earned a little bit of comp, so that's 4 hours. I could come over here to Tuesday the 7th, and on the comp washed line I could enter the 4 hours. Click Save, and then I'm washing that comp that I earned within the same month. And that behooves you to use any comp that you've earned during the same month. You'll also see we have short-term military, and not showing on my screen is the sick leave pool. These are leaves that you can only use if the HR office has given you the hours. Otherwise, the system will stop you from entering hours for those 2 leave types. The final leave type here is discretionary holiday. Just like state holiday, which you cannot enter any numbers into these fields, the same for the discretionary holiday. That will be populated by the HR office when the Senate President grants a discretionary holiday to employees. The next block down is administrative leave and personal holiday. You'll begin by clicking the Add Leave Type. We'll work on personal holiday first. You can do one of 2 things. You can click the spyglass, I'll show you that next, or you can just enter a P and tab, and personal will populate in that field. You'll click OK. And a line here for your personal holiday will appear. I'm going to enter that for Monday, June 13th, so I will come down to that field and enter an 8, and then save. Now, if for some reason I've entered the wrong date, I can click the Delete Leave Type button, enter the P once again, click OK, and now that leave type is leave line is no longer here. There are 2 administrative leave types that require some additional information, so I will show you that right now. I've clicked the Add Leave Type button, and this dialog box opens. I'm going to click the spyglass. Here is the list of admin leave and personal holiday leave. Jury duty is self-explanatory. The HR office knows what you're doing. Same with leave without pay and voting. So the two that require a little bit of additional information are mentoring and bereavement. So I will double click on bereavement and click OK. The leave line appears here. So for Monday the 6th, I am going to enter 8 hours and tab. I must click the save button. If I don't, the system will prompt me. And this other box populates with the bereavement leave type. I will come over to the leave reason and select the family relation, and then type in whatever might be appropriate. In this case, I've entered funeral service. You also have a little trash can right there if you want to delete, and you also have that delete leave type that we've already used. Okay, click the save. Down a little bit lower, you'll notice you have leave balances. These are your leave types that you've been entering into the system. So in this case, there's the personal holiday I've entered. Here's my bereavement that I've just entered. And your balances will adjust as you enter leave in this area here. So that's just there for easy reference. And down below, this is where you'd see your totals. I've entered 2 hours of sick, some annual, that's where I washed the comp, my bereavement, and contracted hours. So this contracted hours will increase if you are working or accruing comp time during the month. So that number will likely be over 167 the more you work. In our old timesheet, we had totals over here on the right side. We don't have that in this system. Again, they are at the bottom. I think we're ready to submit this timesheet now, so I'll scroll back up and click the submit button. Once again, I have that option to reset to draft. Once my supervisor approves the timesheet, though, I can no longer reset the timesheet. You would have to contact the HR office to have them send the timesheet back to you. Now let's look at what a manager will see and what they will do to approve an employee's timesheet. I'm going to switch my role over to manager. And again, Sally has those two roles. Timesheets that are submitted to the manager will reside here under the outstanding approvals. You'll click on the timesheet. You'll see that this is a June timesheet for this employee. Scroll down, and just like on your timesheet as an employee, you'll see the same contracted and comp hours worked. You can see this person worked an additional 2 hours and used 3 hours of sick leave. And that's the extent of the leave usage. No admin leave or personal holiday was used. And then here is the employee's list of leaves and the balances, which is handy to be able to see as a manager. Down below, to approve the actually we'll decline first to show you what that looks like. You see we have very simple little symbols here, a thumbs up and a thumbs down. We'll click the thumbs down. The dialog box appears. When you decline a timesheet, you should enter an explanation to the employee. You would enter it in this box and then click OK. I'm going to click cancel since we're going to show you how to approve as well. After you've entered your comments by clicking the notepad, you would then click decline. And an email message will go to that employee telling them that the timesheet has been declined. I'm going to click cancel in this case, and now show you what it looks like when you click the thumbs up. The same dialog box opens, but you need not enter any comments for an approval. Okay, so you would just ignore the notepad and come over and click approve. So that's the extent of what the manager has to do for a timesheet. Now, if you have the responsibility of approving timesheets, but you're not a manager, on your employee dashboard, down here where it says training, that only shows on my dashboard because I'm in a demo system right now. It would say outstanding approvals, and that's where the timesheets would idle until you approve them as the timesheet approver. Then you just follow the same steps as shown for the manager. Now, blank timesheets will be generated by the HR office at the end of every month for the next month. So the last week of June, you will see a July timesheet sitting in your timesheet list right here. If you're going to be out of the office for an extended period, you can either access the system as long as you have an internet connection and submit your timesheet, or you can contact the HR office and they can generate however many months of timesheets you need, and you could complete them prior to departing the office. So that is it for the timesheet. Let's look a little closer at some of the other features in the system. Back on the employee dashboard, let's click on personal information. You'll notice you have other submenu tabs here. And this little double arrow means you have 2 more submenus. So on the personal profile, this page shows your employee ID. That's for HR's purposes. And right below is your People First login ID, which will be helpful. It's hard to remember some of your logins, so that is there for easy reference for you. This screen really only shows your personal address, and you cannot change it here, but you can add in your personal contact information such as phones and email. Also, you can add in an alternate language if you have one. So that is it for this screen. Anytime you make a change in here and tab off or click off of that field, that save button will appear. And you'll need to save or the system will stop you. So I've just made a change. The save button shows. If I try to click and move on, the system asks me to either save or revert the change. That is my revert or undo button right there. So I would either save this change or undo the change. I've gotten rid of the phone number that I just entered. So change my name. This is pretty self-explanatory. If you have a name change of any kind, you will start by reading the directions that are provided at the top of the page, and then enter your name. And the HR office requires supporting documentation. So next you would come over and click the folder icon and choose a file from your already scanned documents, and then click OK, and that document will travel with this request to the HR office. You'll likely want to change your W-4, so you can click on that button And if you want to change your filing status, change your number of exemptions, or add additional monies taken out of your paycheck for tax purposes, you can do that here. So we'll pop back over to personal information and change my name. One other thing you'd like to do probably is to make modifications to the direct deposit form. So you'll complete this form. This is for the Department of Financial Services. And then you must mail the form to DFS, and their address is posted right here. Okay? I will close that down. So that's the extent of the change my name. If you need to change your address, you will click that tab, enter the details, and then click the Save button when it appears. For your contacts, for Sally, she has 2 different contacts listed. Abby, who is her daughter, and Bill, who is her spouse. Now, you would likely enter, if it's not already there, further details for your contacts. You notice over here that Bill serves as Sally's emergency contact. He's also a dependent and a beneficiary. So we would like employees to go in and designate their emergency contacts. That's the only information that was not contained in the HR system that we had previously, but everything else would have migrated over. So these details for your contacts would likely be populated. But be sure to go in and designate your emergency contact. We want to be able to reach your person, loved one, whomever, in the event something happens to you. Okay, and if you want to add a new person or new contact, you would click this plus symbol, and a new blank line appears up at the top, and down below, this is where you would enter the details for that contact, and then you could designate them accordingly. I will revert. Now this next screen is the assignments submenu. The page that opens will show your current title and position number, your FTE, the office you're in, and whether you are required to file a financial disclosure. Down below will be your salary information based on annual, weekly, daily, and so on. What's kind of neat about this system is you'll be able to see your prior history as well. You can either click back one at a time and see those details, or you can go all the way back to the beginning by clicking the first button there. So this person started out as a district executive secretary 2, and it shows the dates. And then if you want to go back to your current employment, just click this button. So that's a handy feature because sometimes we forget our progression. I will click those double arrows again. My state property will likely only have your parking information listed, and outside employment. If you have approved outside employment, the details would show here. If you were going to submit a request for outside employment, you would go to your dashboard, and over here in the important resources, you would click on the outside employment form and complete it, and it would go through the normal approval process through Senate administration as well as your supervisor. Next, let's look at pay information. Here are your submenus, and to begin with, you can add deductions. You can see here we've added several deductions for this employee. Begin by clicking the plus sign, your only option is to enter primary, so type a P and tab. Your options for frequency are either one time or a repeating deduction. So just type in the first letter of either. So I will type an R and tab. Alternatively, you can use the spyglasses. Today's date should populate as the start date, and you can either stop this repeating deduction after 6 months if you want. If you want it to continue and not specify an end date, that's fine too. This is the end of time date that shows in the system. But if you want to change the date, you can either type it in this fashion or use the calendar. Next, to select the deduction, click the spyglass. These are all of the approved deductions through the Department of Financial Services. So you would obviously already have an account established, and then you can select the deduction code, and there it specifies the credit union. Then you enter the amount you would like deducted, and then click the Save button. After you save, you must submit the deduction. Oftentimes the system will place you on another entry, so be sure to click on the one you just entered, and now you'll see a Submit for Approval button. So we've already touched on the W-4 tab. So let's look at stopping a deduction. Any of the deductions that have an active end date field, you can end that deduction yourself by entering the date. If it does not give you an active field, you would need to contact the HR office. Next is the Pay Stub tab. This will show your months of pay stubs. We started processing paying employees beginning in January of 2016. So that will just continue to increase the more months that we process payroll here. You would click on the appropriate entry, and the details for the pay stub show below. Your gross earnings, your employee deductions for the month are listed here, and of course the year-to-date totals are to the right. And then down below are the employer paid benefits. So here are those monthly totals, and again the year-to-date. Instead of going to the Department of Financial Services for copies of your pay stubs, you can do that right here from the system. Click Pay Stub PDF, and you can generate an official pay stub. You might need one if you're trying to refinance your home, for example. Use the calendars, and we will go back to January. And I believe the pay stubs in this system go through March, so we will select the end of March. Next, you come up to the Launch button, click Launch. The system will generate the report, and then right here is where the report is. Either click that, or the document already automatically opens down here if you just click on that. This is 3 months worth of pay stubs for Sally Brown. There's the January pay stub, February, and March. So you'll see it has the official seals. Both the Senate and House seals are included. That's because we operate, OLS operates as a joint, and so we have both seals. So you can print that and provide that to your lending institution. We've touched on time management, so let's go over to attendance. This shows your leave balances. So those are the various leave types. whatever you brought over at the end of the prior year, what you've earned, used, any used pending. This is what would be on the timesheet that is in draft status on your timesheet dashboard. And then your current balances show here. The Leave Used tab would show by entry each leave that you've used. So you'll notice over here that 1 of 12 of 16 is showing. So if you click the green arrow, there are the remainders showing. This final tab is for donating sick leave to another state employee. You would click the plus symbol, type in a D and tab, that's your only option. You would select a start date, we'll just say today. Enter the person's name and the agency. And then you can look down below for your leave balances to make sure you have enough sick leave to donate. You'll see here 75 sick leave. That is comprised of this 50 and the 25 that I've already entered on this page. I can enter 100 in this case. And then there's the same little trash can if you would like to delete it. After you've entered all of the details, you can click Save or Undo. I will click Undo and move on to the next tab, and that is Benefits. This menu item is primarily for new employees or existing employees who have a life work event as listed here. So we won't go through all of these tabs, but as an existing employee, let's say there's a divorce, you would click on the item, read your instructions, and then click I want to create this event. Next, the HR office would likely contact you to help you and guide you through the next steps, because it's important when you have a life work event to work within a window of time. So that's why we have a little bit more hands-on assistance. Now, for the open enrollment that occurs in the October-November time frame, you will not do that in this system. Instead, you will still receive by mail the information from State Group Health within the Department of Management Services. Okay, so we're going to skip the Benefit Elections tab. That's what a brand new employee would go to and make their selections. So we'll jump over to My Dependents, and you'll remember earlier under Contacts, both Abby and Bill were indicated as contacts. So these two people were designated as dependents as well. So that's why they show on the My Dependents tab. Your current benefits will show your benefits as the employee. Your basic life will automatically show there. This person has the dental, a medical reimbursement account, optional life insurance, and so on. Down below here is the Department of Management Services website. So if you need to access any information associated with these benefits, you can do so here. It's right embedded in the system. And then the Life Insurance Beneficiaries tab will list who you have designated as your life insurance beneficiary. So in this case, both the spouse and the daughter are listed as the beneficiary for life insurance purposes. We'll click our double arrows and click on our last tab, which is how you would change your dependents or beneficiaries. So you would click on the appropriate benefit, and then if you wanted to add, for example, for the dental coverage, the spouse is already added, but if you wanted to add someone new, you would click the plus sign, click the spyglass, And as long as you've already entered this person in your contacts, you can now add them as a dependent. And then select the start date and click Save. You'll notice down here you have a button that will take you right to your contacts instead of having to go back to your personal information. If you make any life insurance changes for your beneficiaries for the life insurance policy, it's imperative that you also go to the Minnesota Life website to make sure that the company has those changes. You either log in here to their website and make those changes, or you can contact them to make sure they're aware of any changes that you have. So again, life insurance, you'll make the changes here, but it's most critical that you then go to Minnesota Life and make those changes as well. As mentioned previously, the training menu item won't show on your dashboard, so we'll click back onto the dashboard. The last item I'll share with you is regarding the manager role. We'll switch back over to manager, and I'll show you a few other bits of information that a manager has access to. Again, that's where the timesheets reside. The manager has a user guide that's specifically for managers. And then over here, the employees are listed. So you would click on My Employees. In this case, Sally has 2 employees reporting to her. When you click on the person's name, the details below change. The Emergency Contacts tab would show emergency contact information. So in this case, Janice has entered information for her emergency contacts, whereas Bobby has not. You can see the leave balances for the employees. So again, highlight the employee, and then the leave balances show here. Another feature that is available to a manager is the ability to submit an OPS timesheet for an employee. That will probably be used in rare instances because most OPS employees will have access to a computer and they can submit their timesheets as well. So that likely would be used for certain offices within the Senate. One other feature is the ability to designate an alternate approver. If a manager is going to be out of the office for an extended period, they can come in here and enter the dates, select someone to approve timesheets in their absence. You just type in the person's name and you can double click the name. And then you would enter whether it was a replacement or an alternate. Of course, all of these fields would be completed, and then you would click the Save button. And upon your return, you would have the ability to begin picking up the timesheets based on the end date. Down below here is where the approvals would show for that person who stepped in and approved timesheets or any other actions on your behalf. And the last tab is a time management tab. Again, it's just another view to show timesheet totals for the employee that you have highlighted. In this case, there's nothing for Janice, so on Bobby Johnson, you can see timesheet totals here. So just another manager tool. That's the extent of the system. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact the HR office. Our numbers and emails are on the Office of Legislative Services intranet site. We'll be happy to help you. Thank you.